realization or an emotional shift or even something you felt physically? And how did that awareness eventually lead you to take action?
So when I think about sort of the steps that got me to where I am in this sort of moment as being a small business owner and working for myself rather than within the context of working at a school, there's sort of two pivot moments. The first one happened about a decade or so ago when I recognized that while I really was, and I guess one could say still am, right, an excellent physics teacher, I found the fact that high school physics doesn't change. I found that really hard. I could anticipate what they would find challenging, what they would find difficult, but I had trouble accessing why they found those things difficult. And I was sort of lucky and fortunate that at the time, the administration of the school that I was working at was comfortable with sort of part-time college counselors. And the woman who was the director of the college office at the time liked the idea of the part-time college counselor. And so there was an opening and I was given an opportunity sort of on a small scale, beginning to work with about 10 or 11 students to begin to transition into the college counseling office. At the time, there was an older member of the office who was kind of making his transition towards retirement. By and large, because I myself never worked right in college admissions. I was never a college admissions officer. I'd volunteered with my alma mater to do like alumni interviews, but that's not the same as traveling the country, recruiting students to apply, and then of course reading those applications in depth. And so for a long time, I felt like I was at a deficit because I'd never worked admissions. And then, private school closer to our home had an opening. I applied. And over the course of the last 3 years that I was at the school, it became much clearer to me that I wasn't going to be the husband I wanted to be. I wasn't going to be the father that I wanted to be if I stayed where I was, because so much energy was put in putting out, an image, a front, if you will, that everything was okay and everything was great with the students I worked with and their families, that I came home really tired and wasn't as patient as I needed to be with my kids and my wife. And while I certainly did an exhaustive search to try to do the same job at another school, I'd waited too long. I had too much experience and it wasn't economically viable for those other schools to hire somebody like myself. Way better to hire somebody who's coming off the admission side of things, who would see the salary as a lower salary than what I was looking for, right, as way better than what they had.